Today I'm gonna be finally trying out the Posca markers and I'll attempt to create something cool with them. Let's get into it. So well, I think we can all agree that Posca pens are the most hyped up markers at the moment, and they just keep getting more and more popular. They are mostly used for any sort of customization of random objects like iPhones, iPads and those kind of stuff. I mean, if you don't know who ZHC or Vex is, then I think you're doing something wrong in your life. So make sure you check them both out because they are just the masters of customization, and the things that they do with those Posca pens are just out of this world. So with that being said, the bar is raised quite high for me because I've seen all of those crazy masterpieces and I just wish I could get to that level. But on the other hand, I already know that Posca pens are not going to be my favorite medium, and these are something way different compared to what I usually use and what my technique is based on, kind of. Posca pens are acrylic markers as far as I'm concerned, and they are water-based. So that means they would work pretty well, or actually amazingly, on any sort of surfaces that are not paper, if that makes sense. So they are destined for wood, for glass, for some plastic surfaces, I guess. But when it comes to paper, I know that they can tear it up a little bit, and your workflow might differ a lot to the one that you have while using alcohol-based markers, for example, which is something that I'm obviously so used to. But anyway, I still really wanted to try those Posca pens out and see if I can actually manage to pull something off with these and just, you know, get a little bit creative and try to discover a little bit different medium than the one that I'm used to. So well, let's just get into swatching, shall we? So these are all of the markers that I got, and well, I then wanted to go ham and buy all of the available shades in case I might not like those markers at all. So I went with a couple of colors that I like and a couple of different thicknesses just to have a variety to choose from. Honestly, swatching and preparing those markers to work was the most satisfying part of the whole process. Let's just take a look on the paint flowing down the nib. That's just amazing, isn't it? But well, unwrapping those markers and preparing them took a while though, but it was really relaxing and definitely worth it. So yeah, this is my color palette for today. It's not much, but we definitely have some exciting colors to work with. So well, once I started filling my sketch with the markers, I instantly knew that, well, this is gonna be tough. Like I was expecting, the markers were tearing up the paper a little bit, which makes it super frustrating for me because I really hate when this happens. And even though I used quite thick Bristol today because I knew that this is going to be happening, this didn't help at all, and I just kind of knew that I need to get over the fact that the paper is gonna get messed up and just continue on with it and just don't be as bothered. And once I actually stopped thinking about this so obsessively, I started to actually really enjoy putting that paint on the paper and trying to fill in those blank areas. And here another thing that was really hard for me while working with Poscas on paper is that in comparison to alcohol-based markers, which are rarely leaving any sort of marker streaks on the paper if they are applied correctly, those Posca pens were a different kind of story, I would say. I needed to be super precise with my coloring because otherwise my painting would be just super streaky and it would probably look even worse. So that was another thing in my workflow that I kind of needed to adjust to this certain technique of using Posca. So yeah, that was definitely a little bit weird for me at first. And I'm in all of the process having already many doubts in my mind if this is actually something that will turn out acceptable, I would say. I started to think that maybe I should have picked another surface to work with those markers on, because I sort of didn't like the effect that they gave on the paper, and I know that you can do so many amazing things with those markers, but just on different surfaces. So I think that was my main concern during all of this painting process that I had, but well, I thought to myself, I already started it, I just want to, you know, experiment a little bit, and I don't want to get frustrated at first, the first time I'm using those markers, so I'm just gonna finish it up and I'll see how it turns out, let's say. Okay, so this is the illustration that I managed to create at my first try, and I'm kind of liking it, but I also have a feeling that I can do better than this. So that's why I decided to have a second attempt, but this time with the knowledge and experience, let's say, I gained while doing the first drawing. The first change that I made was that I picked watercolor paper instead of Bristol this time, so it will absorb more paint and therefore the paper won't crumble as much. At least this is what I'm hoping for. The second thing was that I gave up a little bit of outlining that I did in the first artwork, because I really like the look of flat colors next to each other without any outline disturbing it. Unfortunately, I didn't record much of the drawing process this time, because that was rather an experiment for me that I didn't have much hopes for, in fact, but I'm actually surprised of how good it turned out, and I actually like it way more than the first drawing I did. And well, this is pretty much the result of my experiments with Posca markers. It was definitely fun for me to try those markers out, because even though they are still markers, they are so different from the alcohol-based markers that I'm using on daily basis. And well, also let me know, have you ever tried those Posca markers and what do you think about them? Do you like them, or are you on the fence about that? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel to be always up to date with my coming videos. And also thank you guys so much for watching. I love you all and I can't wait to see you in my next video. So take care and bye!
I'm just going with the gut, never had a doubt, felt like this is just a must. Put me in perspective, I'm the deepest in the cut. Everybody tuning in, but this is just for us now.